Good morning and welcome to Morning Movie News, where late last night, under cover of darkness, Variety broke the story that Warner Brothers is having a page one rewrite done of the Flash script for the DCEU, meaning that it is a long way off from ever hitting the silver screen. I don't know why the story broke so late. It broke at like 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but since it broke on the West Coast, that was basically the end of the workday because they're 3 hours behind. One has to wonder if maybe Variety got the news and was just racing to put it up. Maybe late in the day, people are a little bit more likely to spill the beans over who are associated with the DCEU. Or maybe the DCEU was like, they're going to find out eventually, let's try and release this story like pretty late at night. But, good luck. If it involves the DCEU, people are going to find out about it. And find out about it, people did. So the first thing, though, that was absolutely adorable was that a lot of people felt that a page one rewrite meant they were only going to rewrite the first page of the script. It was so cute. I saw comments like, well, at least we know the rest of the script is good. And at first I thought that people were just being sarcastic. But then I saw more and more comments and it became clear that people really did feel that's what a page one rewrite meant. So that's totally understandable. It's industry lingo, and what they really should have said is what it means is that they're rewriting it from scratch. Okay, a page one rewrite means from the very beginning, just chuck it out and start writing from page one. It's like I want you to have a blank screen when you sit down. Joby Harold, who's gotten the gig, he's the third writer to tackle this. And so that's what a page one rewrite means. Now, usually when they do a rewrite, you're supposed to salvage most of the script, right? You're supposed to fix it, right? It's like, if you're going to repair a car, you don't just say, let's get a new car. The whole idea is if you're going to repair it in the first place is to fix it, but keep the general car. Maybe you replace some parts, maybe you put in a new engine, right? Etc. But here, everyone's going to think of a Split now every time they say etc. But anyway, it's pretty bad that they were like, let's just chuck it and start from page one. Now, that also means that Rick Famuyiwa, who rewrote Seth Grahame-Smith's script, took it so far down a path that Warner Brothers was unhappy with, because that's why he departed the project. They were like, we don't like what you came up with, and you can't. And Rick Famuyiwa was like, well, that's what I want to do and why I came on board. And they were like, no. So he's like, well, then I don't want to direct the Flash movie. I don't know if he was like, playing chicken with them, but Warner Brothers said, okay, bye. And that was bad. So I also wonder, though, if Cyborg will still be in the film, because Rick Famuyiwa had created a script where Cyborg and Flash teamed up. We'll see if that still happens. Anything could happen because Joby Harold has been told to totally rewrite a new script from scratch. Also, he has time, and that's why they've decided to do this, because Ezra Miller is busy. They had a window to shoot the movie, but now because they don't have a director, because Rick Famuyiwa left the project, they're not going to make it in time for him having to shoot Fantastic Beasts 2. Yay! I'm so glad he's heavily involved in that. So exciting. He had a small role in the first one, but it's going to be amazing for the sequel. But anyway, so they lost their window to shoot. So they have to wait for Ezra Miller to become available again. And, it usually takes about 3 months to make a movie, maybe 2, depending on how large the role is. So they got time for Miller. But it's unfortunate. As many of you have said, it's a damned task to begin with, because the CW's Flash is so popular. So they're going to have competing Flashes at the same time. And, that's sticky. That's one of the reasons that they had Arrow get rid of the Suicide Squad, because they didn't want that to be the case there. But the Flash is so successful that they're not going to get rid of him on CW. But I have to say, there's been a lot of interest in Ezra Miller's version of the character as well, so maybe there can be 2. So who is this Joby Harold? Well, he's from the UK, and he's another one of Warner Brothers' guys, right? Warner Brothers, we've talked before, they've got mob loyalty. If you start working at Warner Brothers, you will work there forever, no matter what kind of crap you hand in. But anyway, this guy, we don't know what kind of quality work he's handing in, although methinks we have a pretty good idea, because he's the writer on Guy Ritchie's King Arthur, that new upcoming movie with Charlie Hunnam, where King Arthur is so cool. It doesn't look that good, but maybe it's surprisingly well written. But anyway, he's also working on the new Robin Hood movie, which I hope is good, because that's Taron Egerton, and also Ben Mendelsohn now. pretty amazing. And then he's also apparently trying to do some kind of Twilight Zone movie for Warner Brothers as well. He's producing some of those movies as well, King Arthur and Robin Hood. So maybe Joby Harold has hidden depths of talent. And he's also directed a movie in 2007, Awake, with Hayden Christensen and Jessica Alba. I wonder why that didn't do well. I guess he just was like, they're the biggest names I can get. Leave me alone. And I respect that. But anyway, maybe if he does a good enough job on the script, he could potentially direct this movie as well. But as I said last night when I tweeted about it, it's ironic that The Flash is so slow to get to the big screen, but also it's good they're not rushing it like they did Suicide Squad, because that sure came back to bite them in the butt over at the DCEU. So we'll see how The Flash turns out, if we ever do see how it turns out. But good luck, Joby Harold. At least he's not stuck untangling the knotted string that became the Flash script post Graham Smith and Famuyiwa. All right, so the second story of the day is that Sing 2 has been greenlit by Illumination Entertainment and Universal. I'm so curious to see how Universal operates with two animation powerhouses in-house, Illumination Entertainment and DreamWorks Animation. We'll see how that turns out. But anyway, I mean, Disney's doing it with Pixar and their own, in-house animation department, so it can be done. But anyway, Sing 2 will come out Christmas Day, 2020. It's so crazy to talk about some of these release dates now. That's just 3 years away, actually. But it seems like actually almost 4 years because we have all 2017 to go. But it's just so funny to think of like, oh, a movie's coming out in 2020. Crazy. That's like movies used to be like, oh, in the future, it's 2020. Now they have to go into the 2040s like Logan to seem far in the future. But Sing so far is up to $429 million worldwide. It's not made as much as Moana worldwide, and it's gotten a sequel, but it was also cheaper to make. Illumination Entertainment is extremely disciplined when it comes to making their movies. I think they all cost under $100 million to make. Actually, I believe in the 70s, whereas Disney's budgets are over $100 million. So Sing 2 so I'm so excited for there to be a sequel. It was my favorite animated movie of the year last year. I just absolutely loved it. But I am surprised they're sticking with that Christmas release date. I feel Sing would have done better if it had a summer release date, but Illumination Entertainment has really cornered their the summer market with other franchises. So I guess that Christmas is all that's left for Sing, which is unfortunate because, again, I think it would do better in a warmer time of year. So they have another Christmas movie that they're trying. This is for November 9th, 2018. Their Grinch with Benedict Cumberbatch as the Grinch. That sounds fabulous. But that's, of course, Christmas themed. So, of course, it has to come out around that time. So Sing 2, Christmas 2020. And then also they did some other shuffling. Minions 2 got just moved up a week from July 10th, 2020 to July 3rd, 2020. Illumination has historically released the weekend after the 4th of July. So it's surprising that for Minions 2, they're like, you know what, screw it. Let's just go full in and compete in the 4th of July weekend. And then also Pets, their Secret Life of Pets 2 moved back a year from also the 4th of July weekend. Ooh, okay, from 2018 to 2019. So I'm very excited for Sing 2, and if you haven't seen it, go see it. It's a really, really good movie. 429 is low, though, but we'll see how Sing 2 does. I don't think it's going to do that well on that date. That's a bad release date. Okay, if you have not seen my discussion of that, it's because I think that December is too crowded with Harry Potter movies, Star Wars movies, a Disney animated movie. There just isn't room. All right, so as we all know, Legion is debuting on FX on February 8th. So excited. But Fox has just now ordered another X-Men series to pilot, this time for their network, the Fox network, where Gotham airs quite successfully. I love me some Gotham. And it does manage to trend on Twitter when it airs, even though it doesn't get a lot of love from the media and fans. There's a fan group there. And we tweet. But anyway, now they're going to have an X-Men show as well. And it's from Burn Notice's Matt Nix. And it's about parents on the run when they discover their kids are mutants. And they're like, we'll protect you. And, I don't know how. It'll be interesting. Actually, I like that dynamic quite a bit. And in this world, it's a darker, quote-unquote, hostile government that they're dealing with. But I have to say, while I really like Fox's Gotham, and I respect how well they do in bringing the Rogues Gallery to life on the small screen, mutant powers are expensive. And they've tried to do X-Men TV shows before, and they always run into the same problem, that they always end up, not having enough money to do the mutant powers correctly. So I'm curious to see how this show will do. Maybe because the kids only discovering their powers, they just use them sparingly, from a producing standpoint. But I would hope they would meet some mutants, adult mutants who have experience while they're on the run. It's going to be weird having it on network TV, but again, I like Gotham so much, I'm not too worried about it. But what's interesting is that Bryan Singer will direct the pilot. Bryan Singer, he just won't leave the X-Men. He's like, this is all I've got. It's like Vin Diesel with the Fast and the Furious. They're going to have to pry his fingers off of that franchise if they want to, get him off of there. But, X-Men Apocalypse. I liked X-Men Apocalypse. I liked X-Men Days of Future Past. I think Bryan Singer's a good X-Men director, but clearly the majority of audiences just don't agree anymore, or at least they feel it's not fresh enough. They want to change, as evidenced by the success of Deadpool and the excitement about the upcoming Logan movie. But he's going to direct the pilot, which is listed as a TV movie, so it might be like a double episode when it debuts, which is exciting. And also, I have to say, Bryan Singer has a good history directing television. He directed the pilot for House, MD, a show that he produced through his Bad Hat Harry Productions. That's the quote from Jaws, if you're wondering where that came from. Great movie, Jaws. You can learn filmmaking by watching Jaws. And then also he directed Mockingbird Lane, which was a TV movie that was supposed to turn into a TV series, but didn't. But it's so good. Mockingbird Lane is fantastic. I don't know if it's available on streaming. It might be. Go look it up. I didn't get a chance to look it up before I filmed this, but it's so good. It's basically supposed to be the Munsters updated for today, and they did a really nice job. I think Ryan Murphy, or at least, that circle of people was attached as well. It might have been... I forget the guy's name. I think he was dating Gwyneth Paltrow for a while. Maybe he still is. I think it's Brad something. But he was involved in that as well. And it was just really, really good. All right, so those are the 3 stories of the day. And as for the viewer question, yesterday I posted my interviews from the Junket for Gold, which comes out tomorrow on the main Beyond the Trailer channel. So I interviewed Matthew McConaughey, I interviewed Bryce Dallas Howard, and Edgar Ramirez. And I got a lot of you asking me how junkets work. So I thought for today's viewer question, I would walk you through the process. All right. So when you're approved for a junket, they tell you the date and they also tell you the time for your quote unquote pod. And that's when your group, it's almost like having a fast pass for a ride. That's when your group of journalists is set to, go through the experience. Okay. So usually it's like, let's say 10 a.m., right? Actually, you show up at 10 a.m. usually for a later start time. Although for the most part, they're usually ahead of schedule. And as soon as you show up, they're like, you can go now. So you show up at the hotel and they have a really nice suite set up where while you wait, you can get the press notes if you haven't gotten them already through the email that invited you and confirmed that you were attending. And then also they have food for you. If it's in the morning, you get breakfast. If it's later in the day, you have lunch. So you get free food. It's very nice. You sit down, you wait, and then they tell you when they're ready for you to start working your way through the interviews. And so they'll tell you what room to go to. They have it in a hotel because what they do is that each actor is set up in a hotel room. They remove the bed, they remove all the furniture. It's funny because sometimes you see the headboard still stuck on the wall for the bed. And they set up a whole suite for the interview process with curtains and like either the poster or some kind of thing, and you can see what's behind the talent on each side. And then they have a camera set up for both, the interviewer and interviewee. And then they have, there are whole companies that handle the technical aspects of junkets. And then they also have people from publicity who are, manning each room, and they're outside and they tell you when you can come in, and they also watch you for time. You only get 4 minutes. Sometimes some people are awarded with a double, which is 8 minutes, but for the most part, you only get 4 minutes. And they'll give you a little hand signal in your periphery vision when you've got just 1 minute left. And if you go over, they will actually stop you and interrupt and stop taping. But usually for the most part, they're very gracious. And if you're really close, they'll let you ask one more question. For instance, with Edgar Ramirez, I got to get that bright Netflix question in, even though I was, officially out of time. So they're very nice. And also if they know you and they know you're responsible. So anyway, you're like, okay, your first room, let's say, is Matthew McConaughey. So you go and they tell you what room that they're in. So you go down and they have I posted on Instagram the sign. They have it outside. And they're like, okay, you're second or third or fourth. You can see everybody sitting. They put chairs in the hallway outside. And you wait. You go over your questions. I usually go over my questions right before, like when I'm the next one to go in. And it's a little like going to see Santa. That's how I like to describe it. They're like, okay, it's your turn. And then you go in and you have to walk through the entryway to the room. And then you turn the corner. And there's the person you're going to interview, and they have all these lights on them, and it's a nice little display set up just like going to see Santa. And you sit in your chair and you have a few seconds right before they're going to start recording, and then they tell the the actor or director that you're in, or the writer or producer, depending who it is, they say, okay, this is so-and-so from this outlet, so the person knows who they're talking to, and then you commence your interview. Then when it's done, you say thank you, and you get up and you go, and you say, where should I go next? And they direct you to what room to go to, because they want to manage the crowd. And you work your way through all the interviews. Sometimes people are, individual interviews. Sometimes they pair up people depending on, how much money they want to spend on a setup. And also, I think sometimes they feel how much people have to say about a project. And then when you're all done, you go back to the suite where the food is and where you check in, and you say, are my tapes ready? Usually you can either wait there, and sometimes on the TV they'll have like a little reel playing for the movie, and you can either hang out there, talk to the other press, catch up with people, and they'll bring your tapes out to you, which are little little digital cards. And then, or if you want to, you can go to the green room, where they have they feed all of the tapes into like this main room, and that's where they tape them. They tape them in the actual interview room, and then they have interns who are runners, and they go and they collect the cards, and they bring them back to the green room, the control room, and there's somebody checking them to make sure they did record and they look good. Then they put them in a little cover with, they label them, and they say, Matthew McConaughey, Grace Randolph, and they go A or B, and A is McConaughey and B is my camera angle. So I get 2 tapes. And sometimes if it's 2 people in an interview, you get 3 tapes, because there's one that's wide, the 2 of them together, and then there's another camera that's roving for close-ups, right? So you get your tapes, and they're labeled, and they give them to you a nice little envelope with your name on it, and then you leave, and that's how it works. So that's how junkets work if you're curious about it, and they're a lot of fun, and as I said, it really is like going to see Santa. All right, so that's today's morning movie news. Thank you so much for tuning in, and you can check out some, please write down below. I went into the Beyond the Trailer ending. So you write down below what you'd like to see covered tomorrow, and any questions, of course, that you might have. Thanks for watching. Bye.